Hi, I'm Chris Quinn from the Northeast Iowa Media Group. I'm here with our chief political writer, Henry Gomez. With the Republican convention coming to Cleveland next summer, we're here to talk about Henry's latest political power rankings for who the nominee might be. Henry, why don't you start this by giving us your top five?
Well, first let me tell you how I got to my top five and my top 10, which you can see online at cleveland.com/open. It's not based on who had the best month or who's trending right now or who had the hottest week. It's based on who I think, as of now, is most likely to win that Republican nomination that's being awarded officially in Cleveland next summer. So at 5 this month, I have Dr. Ben Carson. At 4, I have Donald Trump. At 3, we have Ohio's Governor John Kasich. At number 2, Jeb Bush. And at number 1, I went with Marco Rubio.
Marco Rubio? What are you thinking?
Well, my logic behind Rubio is this. He hasn't had his breakout moment yet, that's true, but he also hasn't really lost a lot of ground yet, and he hasn't made a major mistake. And there is a lot of wisdom out there that says that the nominee is going to be somebody that can bridge the establishment forces of the Republican Party with the conservative base, these Tea Party types, the activist base. And Rubio right now encompasses those two things better than any other candidate in the race. So when guys like Jeb Bush and Donald Trump and Ben Carson all start falling by the wayside, I think Rubio's going to get that first look from the establishment.
All right, let's talk about Trump first. I mean, Trump, everybody's been predicting since he originally rose to prominence that he would burn out. But here we are coming up on the second debate. He's still flying high. It's not inconceivable that he could be the nominee, but
yes,
you've got him so far down, you're basically saying no chance Trump's going to be gone.
I've been hedging a bit on this. Just a couple of months ago, I refused to put Trump in the power rankings at all because I felt there was no chance whatsoever. I felt it wasn't conceivable that Trump could be the nominee. But it's clear that he's having a very significant impact on the others around him. And it's clear that if he keeps this up, and he's shown no signs of tapering off just yet, he does have an outside chance of being the nominee. But these things aren't won by polls that are taken around Labor Day, the year before the general election. They're won by organization in states like Iowa and New Hampshire. You have to have activists that are willing to caucus for you and host house parties for you, and Trump is pretty much a one-man band because he can afford to be.
All right, but that brings us to John Kasich, and not trying to sound like a homer. John Kasich has had every week momentum building, and as you've pointed out in our conversations, he has the ground game. He has people in every state. You hear a lot more about John Kasich than you do Marco Rubio. Why do you think Rubio is the guy there when the fog clears instead of Kasich? Because you could make an argument that Kasich has the most going for him right now.
Because I think right now Rubio's the more established quantity with the mainstream Republicans. He's the one that has more of a national celebrity. He's the better speaker. He's the younger, more youthful candidate with upside, so I think he gets the first look. Kasich probably needs to prove that he's more than a one-month wonder. He had a great first debate. He is well organized in New Hampshire and is polling very well there, and he's starting to make inroads in some of these other states. But I think he has to have a good second debate on Wednesday night to show that he's for real, to show he has some staying power. And I think that if he does that and he continues to rack up these endorsements in other states, I do see him, moving up even higher than 3.
All right, Jeb Bush at number 2. Jeb Bush has got to be the biggest disappointment of the race so far. There's just no air in his balloon. He has the money, but he's not exciting anybody, yet you've got him at number 2.
Because money is what he has, and money is what you need to outlast a field of 16 other candidates. And I think that at the end of the day, the fundamentals are what favor Jeb Bush. He's got lots of national endorsements, he's got lots of national money, and that means he's going to stick around as long as he wants to.
All right, nobody's plummeted more than Scott Walker, which I agree with you on. I'm not debating you, but what was your reasoning for dropping him to number 7 in your list?
I think, you mentioned Jeb Bush, but I think no one's been a bigger disappointment in the race than Scott Walker. He started out with all this promise. He was the one that could bridge the conservatives with the establishment. He was the runaway frontrunner to win Iowa, and he went from 1st to 10th in Iowa in a matter of a month. And the reason for that is that Donald Trump has sucked out all that oxygen for himself, leaving Walker without really any place to go. And now he's flailing in the wind. He's coming up with a lot of statements and proposals that aren't making a lot of sense to people in the establishment. So I actually think he might go down even more.
Okay, well, to get more of Henry's reasoning on the rest of his rankings and to look at his Democratic power rankings and share what you think about his sometimes unusual logic, leave a comment where you found this video.